Hello guys and welcome back to Pure Heart. Chris here as usual, and guys, I am back yet with another worship album review. However, this one's gonna be a little bit different because today we have Bethel without words, Genesis. And the reason why it's gonna be different is that this album has no words in it. Okay, yes, you get your occasional oohs and your ahs and your oh. Other than that, this is mainly an instrumental album. This album, therefore, is going to be mainly emphasized heavily on the music direction. And so, honestly, let's get into this album review. So, the Without Words is Bethel's third installment in the series, and actually it was really cool because this is also my first installment of Bethel. This is my very first ever Bethel review, so this is honestly going to be really fun, and so it's really cool that, you know, we're starting off with Genesis. However, that's also one thing I'm going to take issue with, is that this is their third installment and they're just now getting to Genesis. What is this madness? Anyway, besides that weird name thing of calling it Genesis, this album really demonstrates the fact of, you know, Genesis. In fact, it does this in a way that it has these interludes. It has these 7 interludes, basically, for the 7 days of creation. You have life, you have atmospheres, you have galaxies, you have earth and sea, you even have mankind, and you even have the final one, which is rest. And the way, and honestly, I'm just gonna start off by talking about these. And the interludes, honestly, is basically some of the best parts of this album. The way that they're musically done is beautiful. The way that the different sounds is, especially in Mankind, where you even hear actually people either laughing like little kids laughing. Something really interesting that they just do with these interludes that makes it really effective of hammering home this fact of Genesis. With also that, just the flow of the different songs within this. Actually, you know, it's like, okay, I can understand why they actually put this one here, this song here, and this song here, because it kind of makes sense of, if you actually listen to actually what the song is talking about, that it's actually talking about the certain thing. For an example, one of the first songs after the interlude is What a Beautiful Name. And normally I would never ever start a album with this song, What a Beautiful Name. However, they do this one to perfection, because just the way that it just really builds, it really gets this sense of, you know, this light, and, you know, God was the Word at the beginning. It basically it's like, okay, I understand why they actually made this first, because it just makes sense. Or with this album, you guys probably honestly heard of most of the songs on this album, if not all of them. And so whenever you guys listen to this album, you guys will be like, okay, yeah, I know this song, so this is really cool the way that they did it. However, a low point on this album is really with some of these songs sounding like instrumental cover songs. It doesn't really add anything to the song that's already made. An example of this is Josh Baldwin's Stand in Your Love and Elevation Worship's Do It Again. And they really don't add anything. And it's just kind of a disappointment right there. You do hear that also with some of the other songs that I can't really name off of the top of my head. And then it's just like, okay, well, maybe that's kind of what they do. And and you know, back in your mind, because, you know, you start off with What a Beautiful Name. That's just like, oh man, this is just adding so much more stuff to it. And then you just hear some of the songs and it's just like, okay, well, I know you guys aren't trying to be an instrumental cover album because of what I just heard just earlier. So it's just like, okay, well then why have this song on there if you're not going to really add anything? It's like, yes, I get it, it's a very famous song, but at least add something interesting to it. And that's a huge thing that I actually found some of this album. It's just like, okay, are you going to add anything, or are you not going to really add so much? Okay, is it just going to be like, is this just going to be a one or two song album with some really great interludes and everything else is just or is this, you know, gonna like literally be amazing. And so that's one thing that I do recommend of going to this album, that it's not the, from, you know, hearing their other Without Words albums, which are still a great listen to, that I recommend, that are just so amazingly done. I mean, yes, you get really amazing songs on here done, but it's just also, I also think that since a lot of people may actually know these songs, then it may just be a disappointment to a lot of people. And their version of No Longer Slaves is also a really highlight of this album, because again, it's just like with What a Beautiful Name, it just adds something more to the actual song of No Longer Slaves. Because one of my problems with No Longer Slaves is that it's just so much, it's not really joyful, and I understand, like, it's like, well, maybe like a song like that isn't supposed to be joyful. It's like, no, that's supposed to be a song that's supposed to be joyful. Okay, it's saying that, hey, look, I'm no longer a slave to this, okay? So be joyful that, look, my past is gone and my sin is gone. I'm no longer a slave to that. It's like, yeah, I may struggle with that, but at the same time, I can have joy into God and be no longer a slave. And so I feel like with this Without Words song, it just adds so much more vibrancy to it. And so I'm just like, dude, yes, just have fun with it. The last really kind of song on this album, and that's Reckless Love. And yes, it does have, you know, whenever you hear it, it does have this instrumental cover-ish to it, but at the same time, it adds something more to the song of Reckless Love, which, in my opinion, the original version done by Corey Asbury, it's so overly produced and just in my opinion, is that Reckless Love is amazing done acoustically, and with Reckless Love is all honestly just this build to this chorus. And so, you know, if you have different, you know, things just going on and on, then it's not going to be very well. However, with this version of it, it just feels like it's very well done, and it feels very concise. Yeah, it may seem like a little bit overly produced, but at the same time, it really just meshes well together, in my opinion, than it does actually in the original version. And so overall, I would have to give this album, let's do something a little bit different again. Since this is a worship album review, but it's also an instrumental album review, then this album gets a 3 out of 5 instrumental praise hands. So, and thoughts, this is another good Without Words album. If you do love their previous 2 Without Words albums, then you'll love this. If you're also looking for, say, something to study with, but you don't want any words, and again, these Without Words albums are great. However, just with so many songs just kind of sounding like instrumental cover songs, and not really adding anything, then that's why it's the low grade. But anyway, if you guys have listened to this album, let me know what you guys think. And if you guys would, leave a like on this video, subscribe to this channel, comment for whatever else you guys want me to review, see if there's something I missed within 2019, or even something that you guys may have think of for me something to do, whether it be a top 10 list or whatever that you guys want me to do. But hey, guess what? You are loved! Boom! Bye!